sidekick, Christian Cano, partner with Gunn, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen's sidekick. Welcome to Queers In A Truckk. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Good morning, everybody. It is two Queers In A Truckk time. I figured we'd do a little dancing queen here for February and get it started right. And I guess actually today, I mean, we're recording a week in advance now for full disclosure. So if we talk about some stuff that maybe is old news, it's because it's
never old.
As our schedules evolve and everything else, we have to go with the flow. These are not our main jobs, but it keeps us from being bored, and we get to make fun of people every week. But I
exactly
Gunn with two Queers In A Truckk and my co-host and producer Christian Cano. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Happy February, second week of February.
I mean it's gone so fast. I mean, I don't know. January didn't. I guess I'm comparing it to everything in this era of COVID, since we've spent almost a third of the decade in a pandemic of some sort, and it's very bizarre that we're. I mean, technically, we're a third of a way through the 2020s, and it's
Almost.
definitely been.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's been a roaring 20s. We've
went by fast.
We've been a hair away from being in World War III, and we've had dual pandemics of monkeypox and COVID, and I guess
RSV.
the third pandemic of stupidity by the Republicans. They've made this decade quite challenging to be the only adults in the room, and so it's just kind of wow. It's
crazy.
The good thing about doing a show or a podcast during this era is the jokes write themselves. I mean,
exactly.
Talk about setting us up and making this easy, but we'll jump right into it. We'll go into our first segment. And it's our friend from Arizona, Kari Lake. Reason 1001 why Kari Lake is unfit for any office. And Kari Lake, in her attempt to show that there was fraudulent mail-in ballots, took ballots, real ballots, and put them up on the internet, on the social medias, including showing their signature and their name.
So I saw that.
Which, is a felony in Arizona. It has now been referred to the Attorney General of the state, and they're looking and investigating. It really, this is a two-parter. I mean, honestly, I didn't write this in, but I thought about it when I did. Is there any MAGA, including especially the House of Representatives, if I was hiring for an executive job or you were hiring for an executive job, and any of those people, Kevin McCarthy, Bobo Barbert, MTG, Matt Gaetz, a.k.a. Rapey McForehead, George Katara, DeVolder, Santos, if any of those people, including Kari Lake, came and interviewed for you, seeing their resume and knowing that they're a public figure, are they even hireable in the real world? Especially in the business world. I know I wouldn't have I can't think of a House of Representatives or any MAGA that I would even hire. I mean, these people literally are dysfunctional adults. I can't imagine hiring any of them.
But you know what, Jenny, I know you and I have talked about this, and we do all the time on our other show. I agree with you. And that's why I think they are so extreme, is because they have come to the conclusion that they can't really function, or they can't. It would be very difficult for them to function in today's modern world, today's modern diverse workforce. And because it's hard for them to do that, because they actually have to like calm down their craziness, they've made the decision. They only have a couple of options: go into entertainment, become a rock star, or go into politics. They don't have the ability to sing. They're not really talented people. They're not going to work in the corporate world because they couldn't make it. They would be upset over 2 weeks in the corporate world. So the only option they have now is to go into politics or to be outrageous. And it is sad because we have options. And that's what I think upsets them so much, is in 2023, we have options. You and I have the ability. They don't have the skills to do that anymore, which is why they're so mad. So I agree. I mean, Carrie Lake was in journalism. She was in television. She saw her years ended in television because more talented, younger, browner people are taking over television. And her only option is she's not a Barbara Walters. She's not someone who's going to last a long time. So she made the decision, all right, I got to decide what I'm going to do now. And it was to go into politics and be outrageous. And so I agree with you.
I think these people, and we look at a Madison Cawthorn that's never had a real job. You look at Rapey McForehead Gates that has never had a real job. Lauren Boebert, she's done sex work.
Yeah,
she had that.
It's a real job.
No, it really is. I mean, but
apparently she was bad at it because she,
she's a weirdo, but I'm sure there's a fetish for everything.
Exactly.
There's a kink for everything. All clearly. And then she had that failed restaurant, Shooters. They all come out as almost like cartoon villains, like in some of the, like the Rocky Bullwinkle show, like Snidely Whiplash tying somebody to the train tracks. But and now they're getting to a point where they're eating each other. They're eating their own because they're, one of them's making fun of McCarthy. McCarthy's firing back, but they look like drunk toddlers. They've de-evolved into a point where at the very beginning of the MAGA movement, most of the Republicans are saying, okay, we're going to ride this and we're going to entertain Trump, but we're going to kind of keep him on a short leash, or at least they thought. And they rode this too long. They rode the Trump train so long that Trump is like a virus, and has gotten into the Republican body and is just eating them alive and just destroyed any possibility of the Republican Party ever being a viable, adult-ran, functioning group. And it's just gotten completely out of hand. But I was thinking about this last night. I wouldn't hire any of these people. If George Santos came in my office and said, hey, I'm applying for the vice president of poster hanging or something, I'm like, dude, my dude, if we interview, I'm not going to even know if you're telling the truth. You lied on your last name.
It says here that you're president of New York. Well, was prom king of New York. That's the ticket. That's it. Would just
and the Queen of Brazil. But anyway, Queen Katara.
Exactly.
And speaking of lying, the whole Stormy Daniels thing. Trump denied, and of course,
Exactly.
his attorney went to jail and just, the whole thing. Well, it came back in the news. Trump, twisted off on his Trump social or Truth Social thing, and this had a long running rambling thing the other day, and put Stormy in air quotes. So I call this section "Stormy wins, Trump loses again." You think he'd get tired of losing, by the way. You think maybe sometimes he'd just keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, he can't. He doesn't have that ability.
Stormy put a pretty classic retort back on it. In fact, the person that reposted this deal said, there's one person that's a fake blonde with big boobs, and then there's Stormy Daniels. And so they got pictures side by side of Trump with his boobs, his man boobs, and his shirt.
It's a good one. I like that one.
So you can see his boiler and his man boobs. And you see this amazing picture of Stormy. Stormy's a very beautiful woman, a model and adult film star. And she says, "Thank you for admitting that I was telling the truth," because about everything, she puts everything in all caps with a laugh emoji right behind it. Guess I will take my horse face, air quotes, horse face, back to bed now, Mr. And then lowercase former, air quotes, president, lowercase. By the way, that's the correct way to use quotations, quotation marks, kissy emoji. And I mean, just sizzles him on Twitter. Just, I mean, it doesn't take anything to make him look dumb because he is dumb.
Yeah.
But, he got outmaneuvered in the war awards by an adult film star. And you got to love the shade. You got to love that Stormy punched back and just didn't sit there and take the crap from him, as she shouldn't. More people ought to fire back and paint these people as the big old idiots, just like the topic first, about Kari Lake and all the idiotic Republicans and how they're completely incompetent. But Trump's incompetent. That's why he got fired in 2020 over and over again. And these guys, the only thing they can do is when they lose, I said, well, they got to cheat. They've got to say, I got robbed, I got cheated, fake ballots, fake mail-in things, people. And then even when they investigate that, they find out the only people that cheated was the Republicans, like the Iowa guy in the primary that had his wife go door to door, get rigged ballots from the
they did all those fake ballots. It's right. Yeah.
And then still loses the primary. Like these guys are a level of dumb. We saw this in 2018 here in North Carolina with the pickup service that Harris had with his Republican team here in District 9 that had thousands of adults in it.
The Grubhub of voting.
Yeah, they were delivering something. They came and picked it up,
Exactly.
We'll take care of that for you. We'll even fill it out for
That's
you,
right.
and turn
That's
it in.
right.
People going, I didn't vote for him. Which I think is insanely bizarro. You wonder how the votes even got counted, how they, I guess they sat down one moment and just said, because they wouldn't take advantage of the mail-in ballot laws that had been loosened here in North Carolina and encouraged before the pandemic. That North Carolina's been doing mail-in balloting throughout the 2000s.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, absentee balloting and mail-in balloting has always been promoted by the Republican Party because it's always been military, older people, or people who go on vacation or work takes them away.
And typical right-leaning people,
up
until now, because of the pivot of the pandemic, and people were like, Well, if I can still vote and not have to go to a polling place and stand in line and catch a deadly virus, because in 2020 we didn't have a vaccine. We didn't have any way really of slowing us down other than masking and social distancing, which is kind of hard to do once you get inside a building. And especially if a lot of people that vote tend to be older and they tend to be more vulnerable to viruses, like the flu and COVID and things like that. And so it only makes sense that it became very popular. It's wildly popular in Oregon. It's the only way you can vote in Oregon. And it's just a modern thing. I mean, honestly, we should be able to vote on our phones. I think using paper ballots is stupid because you can instantly verify that they received your vote, and you can go online and track it. I think in 2023 we wouldn't have to worry about voting machines and mail-in ballots and people coming and picking my deal up if I could just log in and vote online, like we do with our banking. We do with. I mean, I almost never walk into a bank branch anymore. I get paid electronically. We're up against our first break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Queers in a Truckk. Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in a Truckk on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye. Happy Pride. And we are back. But it's like we're stuck in the 18th century with almost everything. And especially Republicans, I think. Yeah. They've lost their friggin' minds. I mean, they come up with all these schemes, like we're seeing here in North Carolina, today as the day of filming, not when this airs. They're even coming up with a Don't Say Gay bill in North Carolina. They're debating it in the Senate. They rushed it to go up on the committee today. They sped it through the processes, fast-tracked this thing. It's insanely overreaching. It's actually worse than the Florida bill. It essentially puts restrictions on special needs kids. It's way more aggressive than the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, because North Carolina Republicans don't want to be outdone by DeSantis and aka Dixakis, and they really want to go full throttle authoritarian here in North Carolina, because I guess they're big mad because they lost the governorship 2 terms ago because of their trans bathroom bill. Hey, we want to get in the house in the news again. We want to run away all the businesses that we've drawn in, and Governor Cooper has negotiated to come to the state. We don't like having jobs and money and all that kind of stuff here in North Carolina. That way we can all move back into trailers. But anyway, speaking of backward states, our birth state, our home state for Christian and I, Texas with a double S, is having another power outage this week. And on the first day, 2 more people died because of lack of heat, because of this storm. Congratulations, Texas, for keeping an idiot in office and creating this situation, and not hiring a competent, functioning human being like Beto O'Rourke that actually would swing into action and do something. We hate that progress. We hate keeping the lights on and the heat on in the winter and the air conditioner on in the summer, Texas. But maybe if you wouldn't be so fucking stupid and keep voting for these bozos. I honestly don't feel sorry for Texas at all. And I hate to say this because this is my identity and your identity is directly tied to this. But y'all are a fucking national embarrassment. Being a leading energy producing state and being so fucking dumb that you can't even keep energy plants online is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's killing people. It's hurting people. It's hurting businesses. And if you want to continue to be a laughing stock, keep voting for these motherfuckers. Keep these people in office. Keep voting idiots that can't even keep energy. The other 49 states can't. You don't see this in the other states. Why? They're on this funny little thing called the national grid. So in times of low production or no production, they can flip a little switch, and little energy goes down the line over the state line. And I know you're the Lone Star State and you think you're a whole other country. Get over it. We haven't been our own country since 1845. None of you motherfuckers were alive, including all Republicans. Dum-dums. So we're part of the United States. We've been that way for a long, long time. Get it together. Keep the lights on, please. I mean, just like Tom Bodette said at the end of the Motel 6 commercials, I'll leave the lights on for you.
Well, keep the lights on for you or something like that, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think Beto probably should have stole that line and said, hey, if you like being governor, I'll be like Tom Bodette. I'm going to keep our lights on for us and our heating and air on, like those little precious little things that you need in Texas. Because parts of Texas has full-blown winter and full-blown summer. Dallas-Fort Worth during the summer, it's hot as hell.
Yeah, right now they have a half inch of ice.
Yeah, they have ice snapping power lines, and just they're not on the national grid because we're better than everybody else. Mm-hmm. Everybody else has got their heat on during this cold front, except for Texas.
What do you think? Hey, Jen, what do you think? Just demographically, Florida and Texas are going to turn blue. Just demographically. What do you think? There's no other places for a lot of these white evangelical Christian megachurch type of people to go. I guess they could go to Oklahoma. They could go to Oklahoma. Were they going to go back up north? I mean, go to they're not going to Mississippi and Louisiana. I mean,
they don't have to go anywhere. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that they can just act like fucking adults. You don't have to get your way.
Yeah.
You don't have to get your way every time. They're a small percentage of the population.
Yeah.
They're probably less than 10 or 15% of our population at the most. But these wingnuts, they just sit down, shut the fuck up, and just behave. Just, do what Jenny would do. Or do what Jesus would do. I don't care, Buddha, Allah, whatever. What the porcelain god? I mean, when they drink too much at their swingers meetings / church meetings, and just grow up. Just grow the fuck up and mind your own fucking business. I mean, that would completely change the evangelical MAGA Republican nation if they would just grow up, mind their own business. I mean, everything we learned in kindergarten, keep your hands and all other foreign objects to yourself and take naps. They just need to take some naps and get a Coke and smile and get a big old plate of shut the fuck up. Here in North Carolina, non-drag queens, Michael Medlin and Amy Medlin, and then a John Taylor and Bonnie Gail Taylor, both groomed and molested and raped teenage boys. The Medlins are employees of a school district. One's a resource officer, one's a teacher, so one's a campus cop. The interesting about both couples, and they're different parts of the state, they have nothing to do with each other, but the stories came up in basically the same week. Both couples are registered Republicans. They're both white. And most of all, they're those twin couples. They look a lot alike. Like they.
Oh, really?
They look like they met at a family reunion. I mean, honestly, look, first cousinish. twice removed or something. But I think it's interesting that we have this Don't Say Gay bill, terror bill coming up in the Senate today. And at the same time, we've got these inbred, whack job authority figures taking little boys on trips that aren't their boys, putting cameras in bathrooms.
What? When did this happen?
Both of these happened recently, like in the last year or so, and it's just coming. They're just one of the cases. On the Taylors, they stalled. The prosecutor didn't really want to prosecute it because they were white people and Republicans. But the families of the boys pushed and pushed and pushed to bring this to light. With the Medlins, they were grooming, school kids, and went after multiple children and groomed them for sex. But it's very, very bizarre, but I thought what was interesting and creepy was that both couples look so much alike. Like not only are you pedophiles and groomers, the key thing they keep saying about drag queens and LGBT people, but the fact that they look like brother sister couples. Like, and it's just bizarre that both couples look that way because they got their mugshots side by side, and these unrelated Twitter articles that this one poster I follow posted, I thought was absolutely hilarious. Not the child rape and pedophile part, but the creepy ass looks on their face. The fact that they are creeps. And all four of them are registered Republicans. All four of them are in, either like in National Guard positions. They're teachers. They're campus police officers. They got into these jobs to be authority figures.
Sure.
To be hard asses. But also this is the same old groomer pedophile profile. They go into being pastors, teachers, cops, military, something to be authority figures, and they're on a power trip. And one of the reasons they're on a power trip, and it's the same way with a lot of pastors that go into the ministry to have sex with adults too, and that's why the Southern Baptist Church did that investigation on themselves, found out how many pastors just in Texas that they know of, that they found. And the initial investigation found 77 pastors that had committed sex crimes or adultery in their own churches. And it's just like, how many more do they not know about? And that's why they're getting investigated by the government, because they're like, well, there's got to be a cover up. There's got to be. This never just happens and not nobody know. And it's usually white people. It's usually Republicans. And of course that groomer thing is a whole deflection on, hey, go look at the drag queens or grooming kids. Don't
look here. Don't look here.
Don't look at us, because we don't even know how to control the shit ourselves, because we don't want to prosecute it. We don't want to put these good Christians through any trials or tribulations, and we'd much rather let the families that went through this just suffer. Let's just break another generation of boys and girls, and not address sex crimes. And it's one of these things that we saw this happen with the Catholic Church over and over again, because the Catholic Church spent so much time covering this up. Probably still do. I mean, I don't think they're a business. They're $1 trillion business, one of the business corporations in the world. The Catholic Church does not want to be held accountable. They want to hold people accountable and say it's okay to legalize gayness, but we still think it's a sin. But don't clean up their own house. The Pope definitely lives in a glass house. And it has that poker bill with a glass car and a funny hand. So this is the next break that we're up against. And we'll be right back with some more Two Queers.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
We are back. Chris, the guilty always screamed the loudest. I'll say it a million times. It's like the kid in school that yelled out who farted, and Chris, usually the one
that make that joke.
Whoever smelt it dealt it.
Exactly.
It's just a lot of this goes back to our rudimentary programming is when we were kids. And some people just never moved past mentally matured past age 4 or 5, which is all Republicans for some reason, has the mental maturity of about a toddler or a very young child. Child psychologists say that once past age 5, most functioning human beings, children and adults, understand might does not make right. And a lot of these other problems, the Republicans don't seem to have any grasp on. Like, they have no idea how to play well with others. If you're not going to lead properly, just get out of the way. The old army saying, lead, follow, get out of the way. They can't follow. They're out running around like chickens with their heads cut off, yelling about gay people and drag queens and all kinds of other shit. And they're like blind sheep, in more ways than one. Next one is a pretty funny one. I saw somebody repost on Twitter talking about this. It's basically modern tinfoil hats. And it's this like sports activewear looking company. They've got little beanies, but they're lined to protect you from radiation and all kinds of other things. It's a real clothing line. And so it's meant to look like regular clothing, but it's got some kind of placebo shielding in it to protect you.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I guess Jewish space lasers and radiation and whatever else the Democrats supposedly cook up, because we're part of the cabal and all the other conspiracy stuff.
Yeah.
And probably Fauci's invented some kind of, airborne radiation vaccine or something.
Exactly.
To make you sterile, impotent, and to fall in line with the other sheep, according to all the conspiracy MAGA QAnon nuts. They really sell these clothes to people. People are buying them. Say, oh, I already feel better. I feel healthier by wearing these. Yeah.
So it's the for a while there, and it was the rave, especially like during COVID and stuff, because I actually bought some of the socks. Those things that are supposed to be like have copper in them, like the copper, copper wristbands and stuff that Brett Favre was advertising, and if you have tennis elbow, wear this copper wristband or whatever.
While he was still in from Mississippi.
Yeah, exactly, from Mississippi. So it's like the next version of it, except instead of copper, there's like an invisible tinfoil protection that protects you from radiation. Is that what it is?
It's so kind of built.
Oh, interesting, huh?
And it doesn't do shit. It's a placebo.
Yeah.
Just like those copper things, they're completely placebos. They've always been. They're scams. They're always scams. But it's like the old Fernando Billy Crystal thing from Saturday Night Live. It's better to look good than to feel good. And
exactly.
And there is some truth to placebos. You get this false confidence. It's not necessarily necessarily a bad thing. I mean, snake oil salesmen have been around. We've had one as a president, and people like
these are the best steaks. This is the best
Trump
steaks.
steaks, and you're getting the best education at Trump University. And
These were cows from
Bogota
on my golf course.
and we imported them, and we grass and hand fed them and massaged them every day. And the baby calves were the best. I highly hire the best cows.
Exactly.
I mean, what a fucking wacko! But it's the same people buy them. It's the Bible thumpers, the wackos, the
essential oil people.
Because these people are going to fall for the church scams too.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Jesus needs more of your money. Well, Jesus must be having some serious financial management problems, because you're telling me every week Jesus needs more money. And I'm thinking, since he's supposed to own everything anyway. I mean, and you see like Pat Robertson, I think he's still alive. And his little TV show, just every week.
Oh yeah, he is he's like 1,002 now, but he's like Tales from the Crypt. It's still on. The 800, what is it called? 700 Club or whatever it's called, or
700 Club. And the dude, went to school with Franklin Roosevelt.
He's like,
he was middle-aged at World War II. I mean, this guy has been on TV forever, scamming people out of money and then taking it. And I think the best part of the 700 Club, and these just as big of a scammer as these tinfoil hat clothes, is I can see why all these people, like the former Secretary of Education that started Scamway or Amway, all these people getting all these multi-level marketing and all these placebo companies and all this, is because Christians will fall for anything. I mean, their central story is an eternal being sent himself down to earth to torture and die, to forgive the sins of the people that follow himself. And then he got his earthly mom pregnant by himself, to birth himself, to make sure he gets killed himself, to go back, and 3 days later send himself back down to earth. And they follow that. And so, I mean, if you believe that, you believe anything. I mean, the best place to sell is in churches and to network in churches. You really want to do business with people that'll, if you say the right things, say how blessed and how they're favored and all this stuff, I always want to tell them, well, who told you that? Did Jesus call your cell phone number or text you and say, blessed and highly favored today, send me more money? Anyway, let's buy some more copper bracelets and some radiation-proof clothes that protect you from the Jewish space lasers, because we can't trust them either. According to MTD. This is something we've talked about before, but I posted this a year ago yesterday, and it's of this really creepy looking dude with a full-size Trump rubber doll looking thing in the front seat of his car. And so he's driving around with this full-blown, he's clothed, at least from the waist up.
Is it like his sex toy or something, or what? Is that
Well, I put on there on my post yesterday, on my Instagram story and my Facebook story. I don't even want to. I'm kind of curious what his relationship is to the Trump doll, because he drives around with this, and just like these dudes, that have got the flags and all the creepy stuff. And then I looked on and I happened to see a thread from this friend of mine that lives in Texas that has the best memes ever. In fact, a lot of the memes that I post, I steal from her. Of course, she stole them from other people, so I rightfully stole what she stole. And there's this one that this guy has this Biden-looking cutout that's hog-tied in the back of his truck, and he drives around with this. It looked like he's kidnapped Biden. And he's got this huge Trump flag sticking out from the top of his truck. It just got all the doodads and all this. She had a picture of another truck that had this huge flag on the top of the SUV that went straight up in the air about 8 feet. And just all kind, again, you see all this creepy, weird stuff. If it isn't Trump clothes or Trump, those NFT cards, those trading cards that they stole the images, copyrighted images from other people, or this kind of crap. But I think one of the creepiest ones is that Trump ball. And I mean, it's full size. It's as big as the driver. And I'm going, I've got a lot of questions. One, is it anatomically correct?
Which means it has little hands.
Little hands.
Does it have little hands?
Lots of little things.
Does it have a Ken crotch?
Does it? Yeah. Is it really, really anatomically? Do y'all sleep in separate bedrooms tonight? Because I guarantee you this guy is single and living with mom or gam in somebody's basement or a trailer house out down or a van down by the river or something. Like this guy looks like he's a product of inbreeding for sure. He's at least first cousins and maybe brother and sister. And then he's got this Trump doll, this full size. Like, can you picture a Democrat with an Obama doll?
Yeah.
Or a Biden doll? Or, I don't know, Jimmy Carter. Like we can put a 90-year-old Jimmy Carter doll in our car. I can't ever picture a Democrat doing that.
But I know I agree with you. It is this. They're not that much different than, let's say, a Alabama football fan, or a Dallas Cowboy fan, or an Eagles fan, or or some sports fan or something. They're not. The difference is they've made the decision to, instead of like being diehard sports fans, to be a diehard like political person fan, which is just weird. You know what I mean?
Because
that's.
I can get sports fans to a certain point.
Yeah.
Like, I think the moment I started seeing people driving around with Michael Jordan dolls in their front yard, or front seat.
Yeah. We would not do that.
I mean, I've never even seen sports. I've seen sports fans put different things on their vehicles, bumper stickers, and
and they go to a game painted, face painted, or whatever. Day, but they have gone to the extreme.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they are psychopaths. We've seen this with the policies. We've seen this with the types of laws they've tried to pass, some of them they have passed. The fact that they go after marginalized people every day.
Yeah.
The fact that they act like cops aren't killing unarmed people, like Tyree just recently, and there's another guy, and I'm blanking on his name, and I hate this, but he's a double amputee in Los Angeles.
Yep. They did that.
They got chased down and executed on the street, and then they try to compare it to an insurrectionist like that wacko from California that was former military and it was again had a failing business and had to lose, went up to Washington D.C. and ended up getting shot. I'm like, well, she wouldn't have got shot if she wasn't storming the Capitol and trying to break in. Like, she was not an invited guest. When they went to their wacko Trump cult rally, it should have just ended there, and they should have went home and brushed their one tooth. But anyway, we are up against the end, and we are out of time because we started late for no particular reason. Google gremlins and the internet gods kept us from starting on time. That does happen, but we are going to head out so we can go film our next show.
That's right. Babu.
Bye, boo. Y'all have a great
See you
day.
next week or in 10 minutes. Bye.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truckk, and we will see you next week. It'll be the middle of February by then.
Wow.
So have a great week and be safe out there. Thanks for watching
Babu.
or listening.
That's right.